is our filter tester type LFT34GP with a 20mm extruder LE20-30. This filter tester is one which is in full compliance to the D norm. And with this video I will explain in details how to run this filter tester. So with this filter tester you have a separate extruder which has its own control panel, and the idea of this is that you can use this extruder for some other application. You can, for instance, connect it to a film blowing line or something else. And then you have also here the filter test head completely separated and only connected to the extruder with a C-clamp, as you can see here. And the filter tester here has its own control panel with a touch screen which will show the pressure build up and the graphs in real life during the test. I will go into detail on this later on. Here's a view of the backside of the machines. When we deliver the filter tester unit, we separate the actual filter test part, which is this part here, to the extruder, and they are packed in two different boxes mostly. So when you receive them, you have to be very accurate how to connect them together. We have here two main cables which connect to the extruder. The one up you see here, and another one on the bottom here of the panel. Both these cables are going to the extruder. One goes to the front side or front cabinet, as you see here, and the other one goes to the back, as you see here. And you should check in the manual. We explain exactly how to connect these, and it's very important that you follow the instructions in the manual. And of course you also have to connect water. Water you have to connect to the filter tester also, because we use water cooling on the gear pump, on the shaft to the gear pump. Actually the shaft going into the actual gear pump body, and that one has to be cooled with water. And then on the extruder we have water cooling on the infield barrel. So these connections has to be made also, but this is also mentioned in the manual. So here on the control panel you have three active temperature controllers, and on top of the controller you can see the symbol which zone they are controlling. And then you have a fourth controller here which is not in use because the filter test head has its separate temperature controllers. So this one we don't need to use for this application. And below here you have instrument showing the max ampere in percent of full ampere for the motor. And here to the right you have a setting of the digital display of the RPM, screw RPM. And below there you have a potentiometer where you set the screw RPM. And then again to the left here we have a selector switch where you select to run the test in manual or in auto mode. Okay, and here on the left side we have the control button. You have one button for start all the controls. That is the upper grid button, and then you have another grid button below there to start the extruder screw. And below you have, of course, the stop button, the red one, and then you have an emergency button, which will stop everything when you press it. The extruder has our standard hopper. They also have our standard mirror, so you can see the level of the resin inside the hopper. So below here you have the turret valve, And in this position as it is now, it is the material go down straight into the infeed section of the extruder. And when you turn the hopper here, this is the position where you can empty out the hopper, and then you can turn further to a third position like this that will stop also in feed, so it closes everything. And then we go back to the start position where the material go down into the extruder. So here is the control panel for the filter tester, and on the left here you have buttons to control the various functions for the gear pump and to set the temperatures. So here you press the gear pump button, and then you can increase or decrease the pressure, and then you enter here, and then you have set that value, and then you can press the inlet pressure of the gear pump here, up and down here, whatever value you want, but usually we run at 50 bar. That's the value we normally set, and then you enter that also here. Okay. And here you have the main screen where you will see the filter pressure building up on the screen. You will have a graph coming when we run the test. And on the lower part here, you can key in the value of your test. You can you use a keyboard here to key in, but you can also use a touchscreen keyboard if you prefer that. Then you just you press there, you get the keyboard, and then you can key in the values of the test you put. So here in this window you can key in the file name and the sample ID and the base polymer you use and any comments you have on the test, and then you have the date and the name of the operator. And on the left side here you will have the data for the test, the gear pump. It will come in automatically once you set the gear pump speed, and the pressure of the inlet, it will also come up here, and filter test temperature. And below that you will also key in the pigment weight of your sample and the total weight. And after you have keyed in that, this computer will calculate the filter test value. And here on the black windows here you have the melt pressure in bar, which is shown when it's running. Now we're not running, so not show minus value actually. And then you have the melt temperature, which will also show the temperature of the melt once we run the line. On the left side you have the P start value, the starting pressure, and below that you have the maximum pressure for the test, and then you have the delta P, which is the pressure difference from start and end, and then we will calculate the filter FPV value once you have keyed in how many gram of the pigment you use in your master batch, so we have in the batch here. So now we will start the test. We will start with cleaning the extruder, and the first thing we start is the gear pump, which we start up here on the control panel, and then we will start the extruder. We will set, now we are running in manual mode, and we set the RPM to around 40. And resin, virgin PP resin we have here in the hopper, which we will use for the cleaning, as you can see. So the screw is now clean, so we don't need to run more of the cleaning of the PP for cleaning. So we will stop the extruder now, and then we will empty out some of the PP resin here. Okay, and then we will change the screen. I mean, we will insert the screen because now we don't have any screen. We stop the gear pump, of course, when we insert the screen. Okay. And we have to clean the retainer a little bit. So now we will put in the screen into the retainer, and then we mount the retainer into the slot here on the filter test head, on there, and then we clamp the screen. So now we have inserted the screen. What is the size of the screen? 10 micron screen. Okay. Okay. So before we start the test, we press the reset button here to reset all the data on the control, and then we will on the screen here we will start a new test here, and we press the OK there, and then we key in the data on for the batch. So here we have keyed in test data. It's only fictive anyhow, but the important thing is we have keyed in here is that we have a 10 micron screen, and that the test have 7.5 gram of pigment weight, and the test batch size is 300 gram. So now we are ready to start the test. And we press the start button for the gear pump, and then we press the start button for the extruder, and we go up to 40 RPM, and we are still in manual mode. Now we go over to auto mode. When we look inside here, you can see when the hopper starts to get empty, it is time to fill in the test batch. And that we do. No, it should be there. Oh, okay. Well, we did that already. So here we have the test batch. So now we will watch here until and when the color comes out from the melt here, then it's time to start the test, and then we press the start button on the screen, the one you see up here. This one you press once you have seen the color coming out, or you press OK here. Okay. So we are still waiting for the. Now here the color is coming out, so it's time to press the start button. You do that too. So now the actual test has started, and we should eventually see a pressure curve coming, but not yet. It doesn't show yet. You can see that this one has started to come up. Now it's 30 bar, 31 bar, 31.2. We started at 30 bar. So it will come up slowly, and there will be a graph plotted eventually. You see the lower red line here is the pressure line, and this one should climb up. With time, we have to wait and see. Pressure is now 33.7. on the 34 bar, so it's climbing. Okay, we have now been running for a few minutes here, and the pressure is now up to 45 or 46 bar, and you can see the red line here is climbing. Also, I didn't explain the graphs here, or the lines you have here. The blue line you see near the red line here is the actual pressure on the inlet pressure of the gear pump, and up here the green line you see is the melt temperature. Now you can clearly see that the red curve is climbing, and we are already up to 110 bar. And also the melt temperature is constant all the time, which it should be. It's 228 degrees, as you can see here. So now the test batch is almost finished, and then we will add another 200 grams of virgin resin, which is going to push out all the material which you have in the screw. So you can be sure that you test the whole batch of 300 grams. So the pressure is still climbing quite nicely here. We are almost up to 200 bar now, as you can see. And the test is still going on. And the purging batch here of 200 grams is still in the hopper. And we can stop the test once this batch is almost finished, because then we are sure that all the master batch have been gone through the filter and been tested. You can see on the lower ruler down here how many seconds the test have taken, and from there you can see we are now at 400 seconds, and it's still going on. We are 500. Now we are for 50 seconds. And the curve is still climbing. We are up to 256 bar. So you can see that the graph starts to level out, which means that most of the master batch has already passed through the filter, and now we have more of the cleaning resin or the virgin resin coming through the filter. So now you can see that pressure is leveling out completely. It's not going up anymore. It's still here 275, 274. So now we can actually stop the test, because not more will happen. Yep. You press the stop button here.
And then we can save.
And then you save the curve or the graph or the result. Okay, now we have saved the test. So now we are ready to stop the extruder, stop the gear pump, and take out the resin and fill in some cleaning resin. You can see here also the hopper is empty. You can see here that the hopper is empty already. So the test is now finished, so we can take out the filter, and then after we take out the filter, we put back the retainer, so we can run a cleaning batch through the extruder, and then you fill it up again, and you fill it up with resin. You switch over to manual mode on the extruder, and you start the gear pump, and then you start the extruder at 40 RPM, where we are now. Please note that you have to go down to 0 on the RPM before you start the extruder, otherwise it will not start. So you're going to set the digital to 0 RPM, and then you start the extruder, and then you go up again to 40 RPM. and now you are in manual mode. You can see the red color is disappearing here. The cleaning, the purging resin is coming out and taking away the color. So it will be fairly easy to clean. You don't need many, maybe a few 100 grams, 300-400 grams to clean it between each batch. And if you want to increase or to shorten the cleaning time, you can increase the RPM of the extruder. You just purge it out faster. Okay. But please remember that when you increase the screw speed, you also have to increase the speed of the gear pump. Otherwise, you only build up a high pressure on the inlet of the gear pump. So that we are doing now. And this is still during the cleaning process. And then you can see that P1 inlet pressure is only 2.9 bar, so that is fine. So again, now under the cleaning process, we have increased the screw RPM to 109, as you can see here, and then we have increased the screw of the gear pump, the RPM of the gear pump, so that, I don't know, it doesn't show here. Oh, here, we are on 50 RPM on the gear pump. So that will help to clean out the compound faster, and as you can see here now, it's practically clean, and you can run the next batch very soon after this. Okay, that's all, and thank you for taking the time to learning how to run the filter tester.